Just by way of a continuing introduction, my name's Father Paul Seil, and I'm the campus minister, senior parochial vicar at the Newman Center at UB North Campus. And here we are at St. Joseph's University Church, once again to come and be with you and pray with you, and also share ourselves and our stories together. In addition to being a campus minister now since last July, I'm also the chaplain of the Buffalo Fire Department, which is a very interesting position to have. Of course, I go out to many of the fires and situations. Anyway, so here we are today, and we hear in the first story something that if one of your friends told you that God told them to, sacrifice their child, the first thing you'd probably do is call 911 or have them, given a psychological evaluation. This is always a little bit of a difficult reading, I think. But if we focus on the test that God gave to Abraham instead of the outcome, then we get more focused on the negative part of the story, where the positive is that Isaac lives. And not only does Isaac live, but Abraham is promised that his descendants will be more numerous than the stars of the sky or the sands on the seashore. So that's the positive part of the covenant, the agreement of the God who is our God and we who are his people. I think in a much lighter vein or more consoling vein is the second reading. We use it many times at funerals. And if you look at this letter from St. Paul to the Romans, it's all questions. They're all rhetorical questions. You know the answer to each one of these questions. Brothers and sisters, if God is for us, who can be against us? Well, we know nobody could be against us if Jesus Christ is for us. Who will hand us over? Who will charge us against God? All these questions. Who will condemn us if God acquits us? Will Jesus do that to us? No, not the one who's risen from the dead, whose paschal mystery we're on the verge in a few weeks of celebrating in the Paschal Triduum. These questions have obvious answers, and the answer to the question is Jesus Christ. Finally, this wonderful story of the Transfiguration. I've been to the Holy Land twice in my life, once in 1994 and once just a few years, maybe 6 or 8 years ago. And both times we went up the mountain of the Transfiguration. And it's a horrifically tall mountain. I mean, you just usually don't walk up it. In fact, most of the times you take a taxi cab up, and there's taxi cab guys who are sit at the bottom and the top of the hill all day, running tourists up and down, up and down, up and down, And they're wild. They're wild drivers. It's like you feel like it's a narrow road and it's dirty and stony, and you think you're going to go over the side. The thrill is that you finally make it alive up and then back down the mountain. For the disciples, for Peter, James, and John, the thrill was that they saw Moses and Elijah. They saw the fulfillment. Elijah is to return before the Son of Man, the Christ, should come. And so he does here in this particular gospel. They are so overwhelmed. They don't know what to say. Peter, let's build 3 tents here. We'll stay up here. Who wouldn't want to stay on the top of the mountain? And I remember going up that mountain myself and the view at the top on the clear day in the Holy Land of just seeing the magnificence of the nature around, and then to think that this is where they had an experience of Jesus in which he was so transformed, so changed, transfigured. The figure, the face, everything was changed. And they were awestruck. But remember, at the top of that mountain, they still had to go back down to the valley and then climb the Mount of Calvary. And while they were so excited to even hear the voice of God saying, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him," still they had to be reinforced over and over again. When it came to the crucifixion, Peter would run away and deny Jesus, And so I think that tells us that if these great apostles needed constant or continuing care in their life with Christ, so we do too. We need to renew ourselves We need to renew our relationship with God. We need to protect our relationships with one another. As we go through this Lenten journey together, we pray that God will continue to lift us up, to show us the way that leads to his Son, to remember that as a church we are not a people of a certain brand, we're not a corporation. I know sometimes we have mission statements, but the mission statement that we really live is, as Jesus says, go forward, heal the sick, raise the dead, make the lepers clean. There's a lot of cleansing. There's a lot of things that need to be done. There's a lot of ills that need to be healed. And if we don't do it in the name of Christ, then who will?